Welcome to In an Instant. My name is Ben, and today we are once again live here on the YouTube platform. We got a bunch of homies in the chat. You know, going live here on YouTube is just an exceptional experience. You know, there's no filter. We try not to cuss, but it could happen. Who knows? Lots of interesting developments have occurred over the last couple months since we went live here on YouTube. A lot of interesting stuff going on at Polaroid, Fuji, and a lot of interesting stuff going on in life. You know, the president has the disease that he's not really tried to prevent the spread of. You know, stuff like that is happening. You know, we don't need to get into that, but we got a lot of folks in the chat right now, and it's very exciting. And I think we should just sort of get into it. Among stuff that's sort of been happening over at Polaroid, we got the Mandalorian camera, which came out a couple weeks ago. That was a big deal. I mean, Disney and Polaroid crossed over, which is kind of epic and kind of definitely big for business. There was also on the same day, for reasons that are kind of unclear, this was released on the same day, the metallic frame Polaroids. These are really cool. They came in double packs. The packaging is incredible. Maybe some of the best I've ever seen. I haven't actually shot with this yet, but I'm going to be shooting with it this weekend, so that's very exciting. We've obviously got our Star Wars pictures here, endless amount of props, endless amounts of hype to talk about here on the In an Instant program. Checking into the chat. Okay, Jim Chabot. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but a lot of mispronunciations will be happening today. Afternoon, and thanks for the live stuff. SX70 query. What sort of results have you experienced with 600 film and the pop-in ND filter? Basically, is it worth the trouble? My opinion on that is it's definitely worth the trouble. It is fun thing to do. I mean, 600 film can be slightly cheaper than SX70 film. It's not like you're getting anything really different from using 600 film. Like, there's no real reason to do that necessarily. But I've done it plenty of times. You're not like gaining latitude or anything like that because the ND filter is making it into the equivalent of ASA 160 film. So there's not a huge benefit, but if you have a lot of 600 film or want to use special edition frames in your SX70, that's certainly valid. I feel like I should move the mic slightly. Let's just drop this on my head here. Okay, I feel a little bit better about this mic position. We're doing this live. Okay. All right, checking back in. How's your day going? Asked Jake Green. My day's going pretty good. You know, a couple stressful things happening here or there with work. Trying to do a lot of stuff at once. When I first started like pushing the channel really hard, we were like early COVID days where not much was really happening work-wise. You know, everything was shut down. And now it's like way back, like super back in full force. So I'm doing a million things at once, plus trying to do the channel. And that is stressful. I'm not like worried that I'm overwhelmed necessarily, although emotionally I may collapse mid-live, so that would be kind of hype. Okay. Sky Without End asks an interesting question. Is the Impulse AF the best autofocus 600 sans the SLR 670, 80, and 90? I would say that is completely a matter of preference. The the Impulse AF and the Sun 660 are very similar cameras. The lenses are very similar. So I wouldn't necessarily say the Impulse is better than that camera, but those two completely depend on how you want to shoot with it. The Impulse is basically a flash always on kind of camera, and so that's going to be a thing that you're going to have to deal with whether or not you like that. The Sun 660, meanwhile, has flash override, but it doesn't have the 10-second timer. So in terms of sharpness or whatever, I would say those cameras are comparable. We got the Big for Business shout out from Soren. Shut down the stream and go home. We've peaked. Yeah, it's like hard to move on. We've already said Big for Business, so what more can we really do here? Chris Visser, are you ready to sell all your disposable organs to go full-on 8x10 Polaroid now? That is a very good question. I've already listed one of my kidneys, and so we'll see what happens with there. Like, I'm not sure what the going rate is. I did it on eBay, and eBay has buyer protection. So I'm worried that if I sell it and something happens that there will be like a dispute and I won't get the kidney back, but whatever. Basically, I am thinking about it. I mean, we did this 8x10 shoot here. There's a video coming in a little bit, and it was like insanely hype. Really, really incredible results. I mean, if you've ever shot with 8x10, you know what I'm talking about. It's nuts. And so we're literally right now exploring potentially getting an 8x10 camera. But I feel like that might be a couple months away. We're making a lot of big purchases a lot of the time, so we got to sort of trickle that out because that is a big investment, especially for the film. For the Robert Ruiz says, for the SX70, what's the difference between the shutter from the original Model 1 cameras versus the hybrid shutter in the later Model 1 and Alpha? I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know that there's a lot of different parts in the different generations of SX70s, and they all have varying degrees of experts loving them or thinking one part was more robust or whatever. It's really not much of a difference, to be honest. Maybe in terms of durability, but that's the only thing I can think of. Although Yoop says that the SX70 Model 1 shutter gives more balanced photos. I don't know if that, I mean, maybe that's true. I have no idea. Gabriel Rodriguez, have you ever heard of the 4x5 Fuji Instax wideback being released by Lomography for 4x5 cameras? The answer to that is yes. And the answer to that is I've already bought one. But it's like way on pre-order. So I have to wait till next April to get that. The models that people have been working with so far are the pre-release loaner copies, and I wanted to set that up with Lomography, but they ran out of loaner copies by the time I was asking, so didn't really help. And so we'll have to wait a while for that. Mark Weintraub asks, what is your day job? Did I miss the intro? You did not miss this info necessarily. I am a director and editor, so because of COVID, I'm not shooting as much as usual. I have probably one shoot every like couple weeks. Then these 2 weeks I have shoots almost every day, but it's obviously harder with COVID. Everyone's got to get tested. You got to wear face shields. It's like all over the place. But a lot of editing we're doing right now is using stock footage to sort of make it seem like we shot stuff. You know, it's a little bit getting around it, but stock footage is coming huge right now. Absolutely massive. And stock footage is kind of doinkery. Okay. Billy Corona says, any luck with getting good shots from your Berkey Keystone camera? I picked up a Wizard XF1000 and just can't get a decently exposed shot from it. I couldn't get a decent thing to pop out of the camera at all. I think the camera is completely broken. It popped and made some smelling noises when I first tried to boot it up. I got like a couple things to eject, but definitely no film to print. That camera's just DOA. Okay, Nintendo Atari guy, leaning back, that was nice. Nintendo Atari guy asks, how real is the color noise advantage to the SX70 film over 600? This is sort of the age-old question, or one of the age-old questions. SX70 film is definitely more saturated. There's no question about that. If you're very concerned with getting like the boldest colors, get the SX70 film. It's what that does for you. Obviously, you're dealing with different low light performance. Shout out to Joe Michelle. She is in the chat. I have to interrupt myself to say that. So I think of SX70 versus 600, totally a matter of preference. How do you want to shoot with it? What time of day are you looking to shoot with it? SX70 film is much harder to use because of its limitations in terms of light sensitivity, but to each their own. I would shoot probably with SX70 film all the time, but it's very inconvenient to do that, and I just like don't want to. Don Lorenzo 723 asks, I know this is an instant film focused channel, but do you shoot any non-instant film formats like 35mm or 120? The answer to that is yes, I do. I don't shoot a lot of 35mm anymore because my philosophy in balancing film and digital, because I'm using both so often, is that 35mm a lot of the time isn't providing me with a different field of view or perspective necessarily than digital full frame. Whereas with medium format, my Pentax 645N2 is just an absolute like bay. Like it's just always out. Shout out to that bay. That camera is just incredible. Absolutely beautiful images. I try to use that camera as much as I can. And I am shooting a lot with Ektachrome 100 right now, which is so sweet. Oh my God. Ektachrome 100 is insane. It's a little bit expensive, but it's so nice. Oh my God. I almost just like fainted even thinking about it. George Trio asks, do you think Fujifilm is ever going to release a glass lens pro level Instax similar to the SX70? I would think the answer is absolutely not. They're so far from that right now They've not even released a camera that's even in the ballpark of that. And it doesn't seem like their business model is whatsoever geared to this sort of thing. And they're just not going for that right now. So I seriously don't expect them to do anything. Oh, man. Okay, I'm moving down my camera a little bit. To do anything in that realm. Unfortunately, I mean, the RF70 is sort of our shining beacon, but even that doesn't have a fully glass lens system. Berlin Wedding Boy. How do you get that name? Do you just like, are you in a lot of weddings? Do you shoot a lot of weddings? How many times have you been married, Berlin Wedding Boy? They say, I love the Polaroid Image Elite Pro with the glass lens. Yeah, there's a couple Polaroid cameras with glass lenses. They are the best of us. Marcus, will you do the ghost photo shoot challenge for Halloween? I'm exploring the Halloween options right now. There's definitely a lot to pick from. We're releasing a pretty major Stranger Things video in 2 weeks from now. Look out for that. It's possibly my favorite video so far. There's just so much going on in it. And we took so many photos, and I really love how it came out, and it was so fun. Jim says, congrats on the 4K subs. Awesome. Yes, thank you, Jim. That's very appreciated. In the scope of YouTube, it's hard to know like what is a lot of subscribers or not, and 4,000 is really not that much, but it does feel like a lot for like a community of this size, which is obviously not tremendous. And just like from where we started, I mean, I started the channel in March. That's, what, 7 months ago now? So that's like not bad. That's very exciting. I'm very happy about that, and I hope it continues to grow. It like picks up steam every couple weeks when I release a video, but it's hard to know how to consistently ascend when you've got a community of this scale. CF says, pinhole photography with Polaroid seems like a lot of fun. Maybe with a Diana Instant or something. So pinhole body cap can be used as well. Yeah, I've been seeing there's a bunch of pinhole mods. It might be interesting to try that. I don't know. Andrew Lodge, my Pentax is always out. Needs to go on a shirt. Yeah, the Pentax is so big. It's extremely inconvenient to carry around everywhere, but I love it. Eaton Casway says, I just found my grandfather's old Polaroid 110A and a pack of unopened film which expired in 1973. Is there any viable way to use this camera today with currently in production film? There are people who modify those cameras. I think you're going to have to go a couple steps to get it to take 600 film. I'm not even sure really how it works, but there are people that modify it. I think Option 8 does. Maybe look up Option 8. And there's a couple eBay sellers that advertise that. So I would check that out. Don Lorenzo says, yes, love me some Ektachrome, especially with fall colors coming soon. Yeah, I mean, Ektachrome is really good with like every color, but I love green and red with Ektachrome. It looks insane. If you want to check out some of my Ektachrome photography, you can go to my personal Instagram account at Fraternale, Fraternale. Okay, moving on. Namazan, I still don't know how to pronounce that. Very sorry about that. What is your t-shirt from? This is a t-shirt that I designed, so it's not for sale, but I would like to potentially make some t-shirts in the future. I think people will probably be interested in that, but I am also constantly trying to dodge like copyright infringement issues, and I'm not really trying to get sued at this point in the channel's history. I mean, maybe down the line, but Michael Cordova asked the same question. Yeah, I just designed this shirt myself. I typically, my process is, if there's a piece of clothing that I want, but that doesn't exist, I just make it. That's my process. So, there we go. Finn Steiger asks, first of all, hey-o from Germany. Hey-yo. And second of all, will you ever own a modern Kodak instant camera, seeing they are a little relevant in the instant film industry? Okay. Syntax-wise, I'm not sure what you're asking. Will you ever own a modern Kodak instant camera? Well, I own a Kodak instant camera, but it can't be used because the film is the wrong size. There's ways to modify those cameras to take like Instax Mini, but I'm not really sure why you would do that. George Trio asks, will you have merch in the future? I do think I will have merch in the future. I've got stuff that doesn't have any copyright concerns. Like, this logo is sort of one of the problems. It's got the Polaroid shape. It's got the it's not the exact colors they use, but it's got the same color profile. They've copyrighted this sort of look, and so I'm just concerned about selling anything with the logo on it. But I certainly have other kinds of things that I could sell that aren't dealing anywhere near copyright problems. Captain Chaos, Ben, my dude, Captain Chaos, will you be participating in Roid Week later this month? I think I'm already sort of participating in Roid Week every single week based on the volume of stuff that I post on Instagram. I don't think you're on Instagram, but you should check that out because it's the place I post most of my work. So that's something possibly to peep. I mean, I'm going to be posting that week. So yes, I'll be involved with Polaroid Week. Ben Snow says, do you ever feel like you've ran out of things to shoot? That's a really good creative question. I don't think so. I mean, I don't ever feel deprived of subjects, I guess is a weird way to put it. Like, a lot of what I do is sort of photographing things throughout my daily life. It's not necessarily documenting my life. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's a lot of finding sort of the artistic, beautiful little moments throughout life. So I'm constantly being alive. That's something that I'm routinely doing, is being alive. So I typically don't really run out of stuff to shoot because we're always doing something kind of interesting. In the field that I work in, I'm always doing something interesting, going an interesting place. I love what I do. And so there's no end to the amount of stuff that I can take pictures of. And in terms of like planning shoots and stuff like that, I just have an insane amount of ideas. Chris Visser asks, Twin Peaks versus Lost. Insane question. I'm trying to think if there's anything Twin Peaks here on the table, why you would even have asked that today. But we are currently rewatching Twin Peaks, I think for, I don't know, the third or fourth time. It's spooky season, so it's obviously of note right now. Twin Peaks is definitely like top 5 show for me. But I can't rank it over Lost. Now, in terms of historical value, I don't even know if I would rank it over Lost. I mean, but The Return, the Twin Peaks The Return is one of the greatest things I think that's ever happened in general, like of anything in history. So that's where I stand on that. I love me some Peaks. Anthony's Arcade. What's up, homie? Watching you from work. Glad that you're not working. Thanks for all the great videos. So fun to hang out with my gal and watch you. Oof, I'd love to hear that. Make it a family thing. How funky would it be to have a Polaroid watch that had mini cheeseburger size pic? An insane question, Anthony. I love this question. It is absolutely unhinged. A mini cheeseburger sized picture. I mean, what's the comparison there? A mini cheeseburger? I'm entertaining the idea, though, in my head of having a watch that could take a mini cheeseburger. I think it's a great idea. Andrew Lodge says, "Is that? Oh, that mug's looking hella nice. Yeah, this mug is sharp." The last time I was on this live, I had this plastic cup, and by the way, how's my posture? I feel like I'm hunching. I'm hunching because I'm looking at the computer and because I think I have very little space between my head and the top of the frame. If you could comment on my posture, please let me know, because any concerns are welcomed here. I am trying to not develop any sort of spine issues during the stream. So, yeah, anyway. Okay. Okay, yeah, Andrew Lodge was talking about the mug. Yeah, I had a plastic cup on the last live, and I was determined to never have a plastic cup, something that wasn't aesthetic, make even one appearance on this frickin' show again. So I decided the mug was the answer, and it's filled with water, and water is really tight. Back to the chat. Oh, no. Sandra Leone says, my last 5 Polaroid packs came out bad. Oh, last 5 shots. Currently on a bad streak. I feel you on that. Sometimes it's tough when you're ripping through packs and you're ripping through shots and things just aren't developing the way you wanted them to, and you start questioning everything you're doing with your life. But I assure you, the only way to fix that is to keep going, keep crafting your technique. I actually don't, this is going to sound kind of like conceited maybe or something, but I have like a very high level of consistency with my shots. I used to have a lot more like oopsie whoopsies and hecky weckies with shots that would come out not where I even remotely wanted them to be. or just like feel like I missed 3 shots in a row or something. And that just doesn't happen anymore. And for anyone who's experiencing that, the only way to fix it is to keep going, because the more you learn about the way your camera and the film behaves with every single shot, the better and more consistent you're going to get. And that goes obviously with everything in this entire planet. Everything you do, it's going to get better if you're more consistent with it. But it seriously does help tremendously with Polaroid. The way you learn how these things work and how light works and all that stuff, it gets you on the right track. When I have a bad shot, now it's just an occasional one. And with 8 shots per pack, you want to be really on the nose with your shots. Marianne S. says hi. I'm saying hi back. Suzanne Lopez says hi. I'm also saying hi to you. Yoop says, oh my God, your laugh is hilarious. Thank you, bud. I'm going to be laughing to the grave. And I might even be laughing 6 feet under. Chris Visser says, I respect the answer, but peaks is greater than lost for me. Agreed on the return take. Yeah, like I totally get why someone would be more into Twin Peaks than Lost. But we're in the part of season 2 in Twin Peaks that's like totally off the rails. And you can start to see like how that might affect its legacy. I mean, it doesn't really. Everyone loves Twin Peaks. Hein Peters says, what do you think of an external battery for SX70s or 680s? What do I think about it? I think a lot about it. I've considered many times I've considered many times having one of my cameras modified for that purpose, and I'm kind of close to doing it. The thing is, it would really screw up the aesthetic of it. Not that that's really a huge deal, but I might not need to be doing that because I'm going to be shooting a little bit more I-type in the future, I think. Not, just swapping cartridges and stuff like that. It's not a huge deal. George, you look relaxed, man. Thanks. I mean, back to the posture thing. Perfect posture like a snail. Oh, yeah. My back is arch straight now. Thoughts on the new metallic Polaroid film, says Marianne. I think it's awesome. I think it's really sweet. I think it's really cool. Great idea. If we're not going to get that many different kinds of film like duochrome, and we're going to get different kinds of frames mostly, this is the kind of frame I think is really unique. It's reflective. It's completely different than the normal frames. And unfortunately, I think the issue is that it's released for I-type. But I don't know. I mean, there's obviously ways around that. I think everyone's going to have to start getting very comfortable with doing frame swapping. I know that's like really annoying to hear, but I think you're going to have to just get used to the idea of putting these frames into 600 cartridges in a changing bag or taping batteries to your I-type cartridges, because Polaroid is just going to go in this direction. It makes sense. They've made their new cameras. They're trying to make money. They're trying to stay in business, and they need to sell I-type stuff because they make I-type cameras. So we're mostly going to see I-type releases. This year has been a great example of that. So that's my long-winded thought on the metallic frames. Ben Snow, do you ever expect the new duochrome film to still be available in October? I sure as hell hope so, and I hope that there are more colors coming soon. Our Anthony's Arcade says, did you ever see that Goosebumps episode that had Polaroid that took pics and later I think you die? They'd be skeletons in the photo. Yeah, no, I actually haven't seen that, but I wonder if you use the cheeseburger film, whether maybe that would fix it? I don't know. Mark Weintraub says, I'm not watching you on my Sony HD CRT, so no need for the extra area. Yeah, I feel like my posture is a disaster on this live. But it's out of necessity. I don't know what else to do. If I sit straight up, it's going to be very close to the top of the... This is just pre-production stuff. You can't be doing this on the live, but that's why we're here. Okay. This is great, guys, just to check in, like a meta comment. Thank you guys for freaking being here. This is amazing. Being able to just like pop on live on YouTube and having 80 people in here, it's crazy. It's awesome. Freaking love you. And I'm in love with you. Yoop says, oh my God, my first 3 years of shooting were crap. The last 5 years I've been steady. Yeah, once you get steady and once you get in that pattern of really getting in tune with the camera and the film, then you'll be okay. Zach Mejia says, is it normal if every time I take a photo of someone with my SX70, they end up finding themselves being killed by an evil spirit? Do you think that would make a great comedy movie? I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Polaroid. It came out, I think, last year. It's on Netflix. I think it sucks. I'm not really sure. I watched like 5 seconds of it. It was really funny. They had an SX70 that basically, I think was killing. I actually can't even remember the plot, but they would take a picture with an SX70 that didn't have a flash bar, and it would flash. I don't know where the flash was coming from. The special effects department was probably like, all right, make it come from like here or something. And I think people were dying. It was like an evil SX70. It's absolutely crazy, and I wonder if they even licensed that stuff from Polaroid to use that as their movie title. That sucks for SEO. Eddie Zelenak says, creative dilemma. I have 6 packs of yellow duochrome fridge in my film, but I'm afraid to use it. Do I just shoot it for fun or save it for a smaller mini project because it's such a unique look? That's a great question. I also have 6 packs of duochrome. Actually, maybe even have 7 in the fridge. I busted one out recently, and it felt good. It felt good to just like do it because I feel the same way as you. Like you've got this special thing. You don't really want to use it just randomly. I used it in a situation that we went to the Cape, and the Cape is a place I've shot a lot. And so I thought it was really cool to bring something unique there, like the duochrome film, to use and sort of mix it up. So that's what I would suggest. If you got a thing you shoot a lot of, bring the duochrome, find a new perspective, use it differently. My spine is hunched. Brian Segara says, would you review the new Fuji SQ1? I actually have the SQ1 coming soon. I don't know if I'm going to make a video of it. I think I'm going to. Currently, my concept is just a little teaser for you guys. This is pre-production, but just a little like heads up what I'm thinking of, and maybe you can tell me if you're interested in this or not. I'm thinking of using the SQ1 exclusively with the new Instax Square monochrome film and shooting with that combination for a while and making a video about that kind of like not necessarily. I mean, it's going to be a camera review, but the camera's very basic. So a review is not going to be that compelling. So maybe if I mix it with the monochrome element, that might be cool. I think it would be really fun to shoot with that combination, though. Okay, scrolling. Marianne says, you're so cool, by the way. I think you're so cool. I honestly think that you are so cool. And your last name starts with an S. That's also cool. Emil says, hey, Ben, do you know anything about the one instant film from SuperSense? Yes, it's very cool. Speaking of being cool. I really want to use it. I've basically been waiting to order that or even really reach out to them and try to figure out a way to like make a video about it because I wanted it to get out of this like pre-order Kickstarter stage that it was in, which lasted a very long time. And you can buy the film now. I could use it today. It's sort of repackaged chemistry in a way. And so I don't know how long they're going to be able to really do that, especially because they're doing it by hand. And I don't think the price will ever come down on it, but it's really cool. And shout out to Doc Caps for trying to make that happen. Marianne S. says, okay, hear me out. I'm currently hearing you. I tape the battery on the bottom of the I-type film and add an ND filter. Okay, so you're using I-type film and an SX70. I love to hear that. Would you say I-type is big for business, says William Canales. Actually, I would. Perhaps controversially, I would say that. I mean, I-type is the business in a way. Every major release for I-type is big for business. For Polaroid. And I know there's a bit controversial. There's some controversy there. Brendan Parker hopes they bring back the 600 cyan magenta duochrome. The price inflation on eBay is insane. Totally agree. The aftermarket for this stuff is so stupid. I don't recommend anyone buying them second market. Jesus Christ. Marianne just bought the Mandalorian packs. That's great. Little Baby Yoda on there. Little action here. Who doesn't love that? That's not the Baby Yoda one, but that's okay. All right, this one has Baby Yoda on it. A bunch of them have Baby Yoda on it. You need to know that going in. That's why they called it, or the child, whatever it is. Okay. Dana. First time here. Hi, Dana. How you doing? But I feel at home. Oh, that's even better. I love reading these comments like part and parcel, so that was very sweet. Newbie Instax shooter here. Any tips? I have a Mini 9 and a Mini 90. Wow. Any tips for a Mini 9 or a Mini 90? Well, I think the tips that I have are kind of general, but I think they're about lighting. I think an interesting way to like sort of mess with that camera a little bit is to cover the flash, make sure the flash isn't firing, and sort of learn a little bit more about how, or just learn everything there is to know about how the light is affecting Instax. Instax has very, very minimal latitude, which means that shadows get lost really quickly, highlights get lost really quickly. Even lighting is best, and flash helps because it illuminates your subject so much that it can, even out the scene. But those things they take time to get used to for a lot of people. And once you start learning, I think the best ways to use it without flash on, you might be compelled to maybe get a different mini camera that doesn't have flash toggle, maybe even going for a lomography glass lens camera. There's a lot of really cool stuff for the mini. I never write that off. I think it's really cool. Ben for President 2024. Look, I am open to running. It's definitely been in the back of my head. One of my ongoing jokes growing up was I wanted to be, well, it wasn't actually a joke. I guess it was kind of serious, is that I wanted to be mayor of my town. I was like president of the school. I wasn't like a super buttoned up kid or anything like that. I was just kind of ambitious. And so I was always like, I'm going to be mayor of this town. And I still think it's a possibility. I just don't necessarily want to deal with all the school board meetings because the citizens here are insane. And I don't necessarily want to deal with them every day. Okay. The chat is fire right now. God, I love you guys. Jake Green, why can't they fit like 10 frames into the I-type film since the battery is gone? Jake Green, that is a really good question. The reason for that is they wanted to make their production system, for lack of a better word, continuous with 600 film so that they weren't having to modify the cartridges to make 600 film versus I-type. Even with the battery gone, it would be hard to fit 10 shots in there. And so they made them the same size. They kept them to 8 shots for continuity and production. And I think that was the right move. I'm sort of with you on the idea that like I-type easily could have been 10 shots. They produced entirely new cameras, entirely new, well, not entirely new film, but basically modified their system. They could have modified them to be 10 shots, just made it bigger. But they didn't, and I think that's okay. They've gotten by on that now. And I don't think not as many people ask about that anymore because it's so obviously sort of not happening. Just Me says, what are your thoughts on 1-instant pack film? I mentioned this earlier. I'm definitely going to want to try that. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, just waiting for it to sort of get out of its pre-production phase. Although I'm not sure it will ever really be out of that phase. Do you think, Ben Snow asks, a very good business question, speaking of business. Do you think it's film or cameras that's the moneymaker for current Polaroid? This is the be-all, end-all fact about how every film company operates. The camera is something you could literally sell at cost. The camera is, it is what it is. They just want to get them out. They want to get them out into people's hands, and they want people to be shooting the film. The film is where all the money's at. This has always been the case for Polaroid. It was the case for Kodak. It was the case for every company that produced both cameras and film. They're just trying to get people shooting so that they buy the film. The film is what is it called? It's the razor and blades model. So like you buy an inexpensive or $20 razor handle, but you're buying the blades for life if you're a Gillette customer. But I use Philips Norelco One Blade, which actually has subverted the entire razor and blades model. Job says Ben for president, and I'm like, I'm down. I mean, if you guys want to vote, I mean, what could I get? I maybe could get like 100 votes for president. Job says, how many Polaroid cameras do I have? Lauren asked me this yesterday, sort of joking, but also sort of like, can you be honest for a second? How many cameras do you own? I honestly don't even know at this point. It's gotta be like 30. Sorry, I'm saying so much. It's like my transitional word to go to the next question. Jojo Gomez, will you ever do a video on Polachrome? Definitely possible. Definitely in mind since the beginning of the channel. Captain Chaos says, I have some 1-instant, and it's been more consistent than I would have expected. Remember, I'm down the road, and I could be convinced to share. Is that a threat or a promise? Brendan Parker says, I've been doing double exposures with a different color for each flash. That's really cool. On the SX70 film, the color is just delicious. Mamma mia. Pizza pasta. Muy delicioso. Gabriel Rodriguez, have you ever shot FP100C? Yeah, but like not in a serious way. I haven't been serious about Polaroid my entire life. I mostly shot Polaroid sort of for fun. And only a couple years ago, really started focusing on it as like a addition to my arsenal. And I couldn't be happier about it. Oh my God, I said Jupe. God, I meant Yoop. Oh my gosh, I have the hardest time pronouncing this man's name. Brendan Parker says, what's your opinion on buying refurb cameras from Polaroid? Is it worth the massive markup? Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know. I think that it's worth it if you have the money. That's what I would say. If you have the money and you want the peace of mind, I can't tell you the amount of times I see or hear from people that buy SX70 secondhand at thrift shops on eBay, and then they just like can't get them to work, and they're glitchy, and stuff breaks internally, and they don't know what to do, and then they have to get it repaired, and it's like $200 to repair it. That's a huge headache you can avoid if you just buy the cameras new from Polaroid. They come under warranty, and if you want that, then get that. If you don't mind the risks involved with secondhand cameras, then go for the eBay thing, go for the thrift shop stuff. No one's stopping you. Go nuts. But you're running the risk, and you should know that before you go in. So now Nova says, what did I miss? Well, I revealed all my deepest, darkest secrets. I cried 3 times. I announced my run for president in 2024. You missed a lot. I'm not going to lie. Hein Peter says, I am now swapping I-type film into empty 600 packs. Is the 3D model for a battery? I'm not sure what the last thing you asked is, but good man, swapping those packs. Do what you got to do. Polaroid cameras collection video, says Nama Zain. And Nama Zain, if you could give me a phonetic spelling of your name so I can pronounce it correctly, I will definitely like to do that properly. Nama Zain says, Polaroid cameras collection video, something like Polaroid camera tag. We could ask questions about cameras in your collection. It's a very fun idea. I love that idea. That's a great like instant lounge idea. If you're familiar with the channel, the instant lounge, which is on this backdrop, is more casual, sort of going through stuff, and that's a great idea for that. Thank you for suggesting it. Suzanne Lopez found out the black frame I got. Polaroid believes it's the camera and the mirror. Just need to figure that out now. Yeah, that sucks. I've had mirror troubles occasionally in my... This SX70, I've had a couple problems with it, but I've never had to get it repaired. So one time I was holding a bag upside down like this, and the camera fell out of the bag. I was like, it was in slow motion. My heart stopped. I passed away for probably 10 seconds. It hit the ground hard, like, you know, right on an angle. And the sonar was broken. I would open it, I'd have pressed the button, it would do nothing. Or it would do like a little bit, but clearly not focus all the way. And I was going on eBay. I was like, oh my God, woe is me. That kind of thing. And all it took, I literally just smacked it and it started working again. Analog technology is a true mystery. So good luck, Suzanne, on your broken SX70. Maybe you should just slap it. And I'm not liable for that. Okay. Colton Menora says, do you think using an ND filter on the SX70 is cheating? I'm so conflicted about using new technology on older cameras. That is very interesting, Colton. I'd never thought of that as a thing that someone wouldn't want to do because it feels like cheating. I mean, if we're breaking it down to that level of sort of semantics, I would say you're cheating by using Polaroid originals or new Polaroid SX70 film at all, because it's not the same stuff. The ND filter is simply something that we needed in the modern age to continue using 600 film in an adaptable way. And so I don't think it's cheating at all. I fully recommend it. If you want to use I fully recommend that everyone uses an SX70. It's clearly, it's absolute beast. I mean, SLR 680 is its own little twin of that, and do what you got to do. If you want to use 600 film in it, if you want to use I-type in it with a battery taped to it, I think everybody should do whatever they got to do to shoot film. Ooh, this is a great question from Nate Netzley. You recently photographed/met with Christopher Bananas. Will you be releasing a video interview with him? So here's the background on that. So Chris wrote the book called Instant. I believe it's called Instant: The Story of Polaroid or something like that. And it's a great book. It's really thorough. And if you want to really learn like everything there is to know about Edwin Land, that's an interesting place to start. There are a few books. And here's the other sort of cute thing that happened. It's not cute. It's very cool. It might be kind of cute. So I got an email from this company in Asia that is producing a docuseries. And they had me on the production team. I shot multiple parts of an episode. It happened to include stuff about Polaroid, which was really cool, and that's how they found me in the first place. And Chris was one of the interviews we did. I was another one of the interviews that we did. I was in the interview as well. And so it was really cool meeting Chris. We we did it in Manhattan. You know, it's COVID right now, so it was definitely hard to do that. We had to rent a rooftop in Manhattan to shoot on. It was really, really awesome to meet him. I've worked around a lot of celebrities just in my working life, and so I'm not at all like, I don't really freak out about that, although I really love celebrities. I think they're great. But I was a little bit nervous meeting him a little bit because I was just like, I really like this guy and I really like his work and I don't want to come off as weird or overly aggressive about my feelings about him. And he was awesome. And our shoot was really good. We had a great interview. I took some awesome photos, I think, of him. And so that will be coming out next year. So keep an eye out for that. It was really cool. Highland Savior. Everyone's talking about 3D printed stuff here. Love the channel. I recently 3D printed an Instax mini back from a Mamiya RB67. Would you be interested in checking it out at all? If you have an Instax mini back, I'm not sure I don't have an RB67. Does it have the same locking mechanism as the Mamiya press? Because we've got the 600 SE here, and I would definitely want to try that out if it has the same locking mechanism. If not, I don't have an RB67, so that's not really going to be helpful. Wooter says, awesome. I try to get Ben's attention so maybe he has an in an instant platform to give it to everyone. Oh, man. Sorry. Can you update on me on what you're talking about there? I feel like I missed something. I will scroll back later, but just let me know. Zach Maya says, I recently saw your IG story about you shooting film that you had stored in your fridge, and the colors were Chef Kiss. In fact, they were Chef's French Kiss, and that chef has been Me Too'd. Impeccable. My real question is, what kind of fridge would you recommend? Okay, so that's a really interesting question. Because a lot of people are refrigerating their film. There are some concerns with refrigerating your film. You don't want it to be too cold. You don't want any frost to even be near the film. The film ideal storage temperature is, I believe, like 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a little bit warmer than a typical fridge. That's like the minimum coldness you should store at. And I've had good success just getting a mini fridge. Easily the most important thing is A, you don't freeze the thing, and B, it's dry. You do not want a wet, moist fridge. You don't want it to be around stuff that has condensation coming out of it. You don't want the film to get wet. It will eventually screw it up. And my posture seems terrible. I occasionally look at the thumbnail and I'm like, oh, my posture right now. This is like my 5th posture reference. Okay. I'm going to lean slightly. I'm going to do this. I think this should work. All right. I don't have like a live reference monitor, but I can vaguely see how close my head is to the top of the frame. Eternal Firebird, have you ever shot instant film with the Polaroid 600 SE and backs? Yes, and there will be a video coming out about that. A little bit of a teaser for all you beautiful folks there at home. I'm just teasing stuff today, but I'm not also a guy that teases too much. I am giving you content as much as I can. Okay, Wooter. Wooter's trying to get my attention. Sir, just... Okay, here we go. Sorry, now I see it. Hi, from Belgium, Ben. I created a 3D model to use an external battery on an SLR 680 so we can use the cheaper I-type film for it. What? Oh my gosh, Wooter. Dropping this to me on the live. Get in touch with me immediately. Do you follow me on Instagram? Because I need me one of those. Immediately. That's amazing. How the hell does it work? Tell me how it works in the comments so I can read that on the live. I'm flipping out. Yoop wants me to use Celsius, but that's not happening. I do not know how to convert those. Lauren is in the chat somewhere. I saw her name come in here. Lauren says, same temperature you would store wine at. So Ben recommends a secondhand wine fridge. Lauren's father was kind enough to give us a wine fridge. And I went ahead and put a giant sticker over it that said, in an instant, film refrigerator, and now all my film's in there. So first of all, thank you to John Brown. And shout out to Lauren Brown, my lady, whose birthday is tomorrow. We are all very excited about it. And anyone who wants to wish Lauren a happy birthday in the comments, now's a good time because I do believe she's in the comments right now. Okay. Hein asked me if I ever use Spectra filters on any of my other cameras. I actually don't, but I've thought about that. I store... Soren says, I store my film like I store my enemies. Stored in a cool, dark, dry place. You gotta store your enemies down there. If your enemies are too hot, they're probably gonna die. So if you keep them cool, decomposition, not as bad. Now we're talking about killing people, probably not great to do on the live. Wooter. Oh, Yoop is saying Wooter. It's Wooter, and spelling it almost the exact same way. Wouter? Oh my gosh. I'm saying Wooter. Dutch and Belgian names, impossible to pronounce. Yes, here on In an Instant, we are not very good at pronouncing Belgian names. Lauren Brown recommends you can also throw a couple silica gel packs in the mini fridge if you're using it to make sure to absorb excess moisture. Great tip there from my lady. And everyone's wishing her happy birthday, which I love to see. George Trio, how do you like your Jeep? How long have you had it? Ah, lovely. A Jeep question. I love my Jeep. I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. I got it 3 years ago, and it was when I got my first car. I had it for a long time. It was a Mazda, and I didn't really love having a Mazda, but it was my first car. Whatever. But I'm like a guy who likes cars, and I love things with aesthetic, and I wanted my car to represent me and all of that stuff. And so my car wasn't cutting it, and it was old at that point. And the bottom was falling out because I kind of drove over a divider. Not like into a divider, but over a divider, and it like scraped the bottom of the car. So every time I went over a speed bump, I felt myself dropping out of the bottom of the car a little bit. So I was like, it's time to get upgraded. And the Jeep has always been on my list. I got one of the last Wrangler JK models. They're in the JL generation of cars now. And I can't recommend it highly enough. Beautiful vehicle. You can drive over anything, even a divider. Sinan Altanova says, pretty sure this has been asked before, but how do you display your film? So I have I recently just threw it up, huge wall, a Polaroid wall over there. This is not helpful because we don't have a camera over there. I can show you on my like IG story or something, but I've got film all over the place. I got books that I fill these books with all my shots in chronological order, or if I have a project, I fill the book with that. And I have a couple frames. There's a few options. That might be a little mini episode or something down the road. A lot of people wishing her happy birthday. Okay, Wooter, pronounced Wouter, I don't know. Wouter is going to explain how this I-type conversion for 680 works, but I am really, really interested in this, and I think everyone else would be. So go ahead and email me or send me a DM on Instagram. You got my handle, I'm sure. And it's the.instantgram, and my email is benfraternale@gmail.com, benfraternale@gmail.com, or ben@fraternale.com. ben@fraternale.com. You can write me a personal letter if you'd like. This is open to anyone, not just Wooter, whose name I can't pronounce. Cody Williams suggests to get the Jeep Gladiator. Great car, kind of a doinker. It's like the doinker version of the Wrangler, in my opinion. I think it's cool. I love seeing Gladiators all around. Nate's last pre-New York City car was a 2008 Mazda 3. Mine was also a Mazda 3. Everyone's talking Mazda 3s. A lot of shout out. Mazda 3 was awesome. My favorite car is a 1971 Volkswagen Type 2A bus. So that's the next step. Letter is coming, says Wouter. I'm trying my best with the name. Lauren Brown doxing yourself. Drop our address while you're at it. Yeah, I've sort of been not necessarily too revealing about all my personal information about on the channel, but I figure the people here in this chat probably aren't going to go try to kill me later. So I think my email is probably doxing myself. Ray says, big shout out to the recent videos about the i1 and also the video about expired film. Thank you, Ray. Those videos were really fun, and I'm glad that you liked them. Hein Peter says, thoughts about the new Polaroid photo albums. They are, from what I can tell, the exact same as the old Polaroid photo albums, which I really like. I would recommend buying them in bulk because if they ever sell out again, that's a big problem, and they didn't replace them right away because of COVID and production issues, so. Whoa, I'm thirsty. Herschel Matthews asks, do you have any recommendations for books for shot storage, or does anything work? A typical binder will work, but to get the pages that hold the film, you have to go to B&H, and there's a bunch of film and photo sheet holders. Just look for the one that's the closest dimensions to a Polaroid. I don't remember quite what the dimensions are. They're not exactly the Polaroid size, but they're the right width. It holds it perfectly. It's great. So I recommend finding some photo sheet holders and putting those in a regular binder. Sandra Leone hopes that the red and black duochrome comes back. Me too. I tell you. Little shout out to everyone about Polaroid Week in a couple weeks' time. Yep, everyone keep that in mind. I want, Sanan says, I always want to make big poster-sized prints of my Polaroids to display them. That is something I also was literally last night talking about, so that's kind of weird. Maybe I have doxed myself too hard that now people are able to listen. But we have this like big industrial printer here. And it sucks because I kind of used it a little too hard, and one of the ink wells is full. I got to freaking replace the ink, which is like hundreds of dollars. But I do want to do that. I can make big prints here in the office. I just got to like replace the ink. Everyone, please encourage me to replace the ink. Get me off my ass to replace the ink. Captain Chaos is a ratty YJ. We respect YJ owners here on an instant. Marianne says she hasn't seen the new photo albums. Again, they look the same as the other ones. They're just new and have the new Polaroid logo on it instead of Polaroid Originals. Ben Snow, what if one of us shows up at your house and takes a Polaroid of you, then an evil spirit shows up and kills you? I mean, honestly, what a way to go. If that's how I die, I would be thrilled, actually. Dying by evil ghost as a result of Polaroid, I can't think of any other way to go. Lauren Brown asked if it's the plot to the movie Polaroid. That's what we were trying to figure out earlier. I'm not sure if that's the plot. I think it's similar to that movie. It was a topic earlier, but I haven't seen the movie. Replace the ink. Thank you, Bruna. I needed that push. I needed someone to tell me to replace the ink so I can make these big Polaroid prints. I would really like actually to make, I mean, I don't know if this is something people would be interested in, but maybe prints of some of my shots, and maybe I could do some giveaways. I do have some giveaways coming up, so keep a lookout for that. I'm going to, for the next couple of videos, be doing giveaways concurrent with the videos. That's kind of exciting. I want to do more of that. It's obviously cost prohibitive. I'm not making any money off this channel, so I can't just be giving away tons of stuff all the time. But I am very excited to be doing that a little bit. Captain Chaos says, dude, we're practically neighbors. And those kinds of comments can only come off as threatening to me. Wooter says, I don't know. Wooter's now talking literally in a different language. I can't read it, but I love this guy, and I can't wait to talk to him about his mod. Hi from the Italian IG stalker, Francesco. Glad you're live when I can watch. Yeah, I think 3 p.m. Eastern Standard is a decent window for worldwide viewing of a live YouTube stream talking about instant photography in 2020. Can you believe that we are here, folks? The username dot or period, glad you can run the channel for enjoyment and not just quiche. Sounds more fun that way. Yeah, there was some discussion actually in the last live about doing some sort of Patreon, and then some people kind of warned me against doing a Patreon. There is some element to YouTube that's definitely hard. It's hard to do this concurrent with my career. It's a lot to balance to not make money on, but I think I'm geared for it. I love doing this stuff, and I just go hard all the time, in the paint, out of the paint. And so it's my pleasure to do this channel for free or whatever. The payment I'm getting is, whoa, that would have been bad. If I had spilled that water, it would have gone on the Mandalorian camera. It would have gone on the Stranger Things camera. It would have gone on the Polaroid Now. It would have gotten on the Sun 660. It would have gotten on the SX70. It would have gotten on all the iType packs and my Star Wars photos. So thank goodness gracious we did not just have a major spill here on In an Instant Live, although it would have been kind of hilarious. Back to the chat. Call me Trevor, says period. How do you get around those Newton rings, asks Brendan. Go ahead and check out the video I made about it. I made a video about scanning my Polaroids. I think that should help. Okay, Wooter. Hi, Ben. Do you not get the Mint SLR 670 because of the price or because you think it takes the magic away? I've thought about the SLR 670 over the years. Every time I think about that, I think about my SLR 680 and how I have virtually no problems with it. I kind of can understand or predict what the shutter speed of the SLR 680 is going to be in any given circumstance. And typically, I'm not trying to shoot fully manually, and I know a lot of people use the automatic mode on the SLR 670. And the other thing is I have a little bit of trouble, this is kind of ironic because I'm a photographer, but trouble manually focusing with the viewfinder. It depends. Like rangefinders, I have a good time using, but it's tough on Polaroid, especially at a distance and the latitude. Sonar really helps me out, and so I don't love the idea of investing in an expensive manual focus version of a camera that I'm already basically happy with. Although I do really love that they do that, and I love the 670. I think it's really cool. Excuse me. Fred Alley OnlyFans, says Soren. Yeah, I guess that may be coming up next. Yes to the OnlyFans page. What in the world? What are we talking about here? I love this. OnlyFans, get an OnlyFans for money. What is that? Is OnlyFans like a porn thing? Someone explain to me what OnlyFans is, and I will read it live. If someone writes an explanation of what OnlyFans is, I will read it, no matter what it says. Android user. Just got a 1-step 2, and I'm looking forward to some good shots. Any tips to know before going into my first film pack? This is awesome. I love that you're here. I love that someone who just got a 1-step 2, it is about to pop out their first shot, is here in an Instagram live where we're talking about this stuff. It's really cool. So what should you know going into your first pack? Wow, okay. I would say look for very bright light. That's typically one of my first recommendations with shooting Polaroid. Don't shoot it in the dark. If you're using flash, cool, whatever, but it's really gonna do its best work outside on a bright day, direct sunlight. Don't shoot with the sun at the back of the person you're shooting or the object you're shooting. Try to, at least when you're getting started, get that sunlight directly hitting whatever object you're shooting, and you'll start to see why Polaroid is so magic and why anyone would bother having a YouTube channel where they only talk about this. Okay, scrolling through. Hein Peters, due to all the talking about 3D model eye type thing, the company Refurb is soon to release an external battery mod. Whoa, I didn't know that either. That is really exciting. I love that company. They're so sick. Patreon for lewds. It's not officially for porn, but, says Brandon Parker. Herschel Matthew says OnlyFans doesn't have pornography. I don't think I'm any clearer on what OnlyFans actually is after these 3 explanations. Sean Prey says, anybody know when the Instax Square monochrome comes out? It comes out, what day is it? It's the 7th. It comes out the 18th, I think. So it comes out in 11 days. Sanan says it's like a porn thing. Herschel says it doesn't have porn. Yoop says OnlyFans is porn. I don't know what is OnlyFans. Am I supposed to get one or not? Okay. Soren, did he just say Rezivu? I don't know how to pronounce half the fucking words in English, let alone other languages. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Hey! Yvonne is here. Struggling constantly pronounce things. My apologies. Marianne says, okay, this seems like the most helpful explanation. Most people use OnlyFans for 18+ content, but it doesn't have to be. Essentially, people pay to see your exclusive content. So why would you get that versus Patreon? Is it just like is the interface good? Lauren says, please don't get an OnlyFans unless you want to. I would never stomp on your dreams. Oh, Lauren. I currently, based on all the porn discussions, don't want to get an OnlyFans, but Brendan does want to say, I want to be able to claim I'm subbed to Ben's OnlyFans. Sanan says, why not get a Patreon? Let's talk about that. So the reason that I haven't gotten a Patreon is I think there is a bit of a weird ownership aspect to Patreon in which you are now I'm expected to do what I'm doing on the channel, obviously, but there is a bit of a risk when you're like, pay me money. Now you're going to get the content you want. And I know that that's not really what it is. That's not the spirit of what it is, but it does kind of feel like that. You suddenly are obligated in a different way than you would be if I just kept doing what I'm doing now, which is sort of doing what I want to do. And now we're just talking about OnlyFans being porn here in the chat, which is totally fine. But back to Patreon. So I've thought about it, and I've considered it, and maybe one day I'll have to do that if I'm just too busy and I need to hire people to help me. And onlyhams.com. It's a Utica thing. Please use Twitch instead of YouTube Live. It's about 100 times more useful, says Andrew Chu. The reason I would not ever do that is because Twitch is completely disconnected from my YouTube channel, that is what I'm doing here. I'm doing YouTube. So I wouldn't do Twitch. That just doesn't work for what I'm doing. Okay. All right. This is insane. We got 91 people in here still. This is crazy. Does anyone have any more questions? I mean, I don't have a Twitch. I don't either. I'm not a Twitch guy. But the thing is with this live is, we're going to be done with it eventually, maybe soon. And then it'll go up on YouTube, which is the whole point of the channel. So I'm going to keep the lives to here. I have been admittedly doing lives on Instagram as well. That's really fun. That's a little bit more casual. It's a mess over here. The Mandalorian camera. I can't believe I almost spilled water all over that. Soren says, holy shit, dropping better Twitch TV memes in a Fraternally live stream would be the dream. If, I don't even know. I wish you guys could comment photos. I think that would be kind of funny. Hein Peter says, coolest skin for your cameras. There's a lot of great skins on Etsy. I think like a red leather on an SX70, a white SX70 is like, oh. I might have to get an OnlyFans if I get one of those. Nate says, regarding Patreon, honestly, it's just you limit the fan levels to like $1 to $5 a month. Then it's not like anyone is out on a huge sum. I think that's interesting. I'm thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it all the time. It would be helpful because I am investing money in these videos. I'm not just making these with the stuff that I already have. I have to buy film to make videos. If we have people, I got to pay for food. We got to get, it's like putting on a regular shoot, a video shoot or a photo shoot. So it's not free to make these. And as much as it is my pleasure, it would be nice to have some financial support. Period, who I think's name is Trevor, asks, where do you recommend a newcomer to go explore for Polaroid photography? It's very fun. And I need more excuses to shoot with my 680. Well, it's sort of a matter of personal preference in terms of where you want to go to explore. Are you a guy who likes getting lost in the woods? Then go explore the woods. I think that would be really cool. Are you a person that really likes going to get some ice cream? Then go to every ice cream shop in your county and take a picture of the owner. Think outside the box a little bit. Like if you have a thing that you love, that's what you should go shoot. I genuinely believe that. I think that's where the joy of photography comes from. If you love your mom a lot, take one photo of your mom every day in a different pose. That sounded really bad. That sounded very OnlyFans of me. Redacted. Herschel Matthews, do you have a preference when it comes to cameras that shoot Fujifilm? You know what? Sorry to interrupt that. I feel like I could do a freaking telethon right now. You get your second wind. I feel like I could maybe do like an 8-hour live episode and just stay on all day. I don't care if the viewer count drops to 1. As long as I'm just on, I could raise money for charity. I think that would be hilarious. I honestly would want to do that just for the fun of trying to continually engage to the camera for 8 hours. Comment if you think I should do a telethon, donating money to charity in an 8-hour live video. And Lauren, go ahead and comment if you think that that's a bad idea or whether you would support me no matter what I do. Sashi Katanashi says, any advice for people just starting on instant photography? I think one of the most important things, I say this all the time, but I'll just repeat it, is to completely and utterly understand lighting, as much as you can understand lighting. Polaroid and Instax, very narrow exposure latitudes, meaning your highlights and shadows are going to be a difficult balancing act at all times, and you really need to learn what light is doing to the background, foreground, every element of how that's playing into your photos, and that's the jumping off point. And then I think composition is next. Really nailing composition, learning how to make your photos more impactful with what you're placing in the background and foreground. I could talk about that for probably 45 minutes. Maybe I will in my 8-hour telethon. I'd tune in for sure. Sal says, 8 hours of shooting as many different Polaroids and different types of film. Well, I would still be, I guess, sitting here. I'm not sure how I would be live for 8 hours. A 24-hour live, says Hein. Oh my God, I think that would be really funny. Ray says photograph strangers as his tip for what to go out and shoot. It's kind of interesting because I haven't felt comfortable doing that at all recently. I don't think approaching people right now is the same as it was back then before COVID. It's definitely more threatening. It's definitely scarier for people to even be near anyone else. So it's kind of hard to do street photography right now unless you're using a long lens. Everyone seems to be in on the 8-hour telethon idea. That would be an extremely expensive live, says Brendan. Period Trevor says, gotta go make dinner. Oh man, it's 4 p.m. Or maybe it's later where you are. Best way to spend 8 hours, says Adrian. I don't know what we would talk about for 8 hours, but the challenge of even doing it, I'd probably have to repeat myself a bunch. I just think it'd be really fun. And I've got a couple charities that I would like to... I don't know how to actually raise money through this platform, but it's an interesting idea. Maybe I could donate... Maybe I donate $100 for every 2 hours I'm on or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That would be cute, though. I think we should do that. Maybe around Christmas time. Get in the spirit of things. Back to Herschel's question. Do you have a preference on when it comes to cameras that shoot Fujifilm? I have 2 cameras right now that shoot Fujifilm, and I need a little reassurance. Well, I don't want to assure you wrongly. Maybe you can tell me which 2 Fuji cameras you have, and I can maybe assure you or tell you that you made a huge mistake. I personally use the 500 AF when I want to shoot with a Fujifilm camera. The Lomo Instant Square Glass is incredible, but I don't always bring it out because it is a little bit tougher to use. I can't believe there's still 85 people here in this live. This is so nuts. Love all of you. 84. Yoop is calling it out, and I really appreciate that. Do a flower shoot, Ben, says Yoop, like me. I think that's a really cool idea. I think it would be really cool once COVID's over, we can connect, do a flower shoot together. Oh, the boys. The boys are back in town again. Potty Yacht says, we as a community of In an Instant are growing every day. Why wouldn't you make instant photography theme-based contests for us? No need for a prize, just fun to shoot. I don't know what your first name is, but I totally think that's a great idea. I really appreciate the community. I really appreciate all the people that are like fans of the channel and are constantly checking into everything we're doing, whether it's on Instagram or all the YouTube videos, or if I just post something on YouTube. That is hugely appreciated, and I do want to encourage more connection and more participation. So there may be contests coming up. Right now, just doing so much stuff right now at once. My mind is racing constantly. It's hard to do an additional thing, but I am thinking about doing that, and I think that would be really fun. Marianne S. asks, Instax Square for art versus Polaroid format. I would say definitely Polaroid. I think anything art, my head just goes Polaroid. Not to say Instax can't be used for art. Of course it can. But that's where my head's at. Although I cannot wait to use the Instax monochrome square film. And for someone asking if I love you or am I in love with you, my answer is that I am also in love with you. I'm in love with all of you. Head over heels even. Don Thou... Again, you gotta excuse me for the names. Do you think that the SQ1 is kind of like Fuji's equivalent to the Polaroid Original's first one, Step 2? Excuse me, let me just take a sip of water. Fantastic water. And it'll evolve into more complex cameras like the Polaroid Originals did. So Don is basically asking if the SQ1 is a jumping off point for Fuji or whether, and whether it's comparable to the One Step 2. I personally don't think that the SQ1 is a jumping off point for anything. I think the reason it's called SQ1, it's so cleverly named, is that it's like the base model for Instax Square. The SQ1, the philosophy of that camera is that it is supposed to be the Instax Mini. Jesus, people walking upstairs. The Instax Mini 8 or 9 or 11 or 13, whatever it is. The basic point and shoot, flash is on camera. The simplest way to shoot Instax Square. The advanced cameras beyond that are the SQ6, the SQ10, the SQ20, etc. Those cameras are more advanced and have more features, and the SQ1 is not intended to be that. I think the SQ1 is by far the nicest looking Instax Square camera that Fuji has produced, and that's partially why I pre-ordered it, and because I had the idea of doing the monochrome concept, and I think that would be awesome to do. Apparently his last name is pronounced Toy. Well, news to me, and I'm very excited that we now know that. Soren, Ben, my wife thinks I look up to you like a senpai. Senpai? Sensei? And I want to get your attention. That's just not true, okay? Look, I'm an open book. I'll you have my attention. You all have my attention at all times. I am always very on top of responding to people, getting in touch with everyone, being active in my DMs, being active in any messaging that happens, because I appreciate you guys so much, and I always want to stay in touch with you. It's never a burden, trust me. Joan Worthman says, isn't the SQ1 a dumbed down SQ6? Yes, the SQ1, like I'm saying, is essentially the bottom of the base models for the Instax Square format to encourage people to use it in a similar way to the Instax Mini format, which is more casually and with less thought going into it. And it's a great way to sell more film. Hopefully that lowers the price of Instax Square, which is oddly more expensive than Instax Wide. This is a love fest. Do you ever do workshops, says Jim? That could be cool. I mean, honestly, like in the 8-hour live concept, it would be kind of cool to do a workshop part of it. Talking about this 8-hour live episode, like it's definitely happening, which it is. We are going to raise money, and we're going to do workshops. Why not? I could talk through stuff. I could have cameras on the side. We could, I don't even know. Not exactly sure what to do in studio. It's a little bit confining, but I definitely could do something. And yeah. Okay. Thank you to everyone who is complimenting the channel. It is now 4:12 p.m. Eastern. We have been live for an hour and 12 minutes, and it's been really fantastic. I really, really appreciate that we've got this like consistent 80+ viewers here in the live. Really nuts. I mean, this is awesome. I can't wait to do this again. And I really, once again, appreciate you. And thank you for watching in an instant. Go ahead and take a spiked baseball bat and just go wailing on that subscribe button. Just beat it to shreds. I want to see that subscribe button in a million pieces bleeding out. And stay tuned for more reviews, breakdowns, tips, lives, all things instant. Thank you once again for tuning in. And bye. Ending stream now. And now.